interviewing Jason Bartnick, born on October 4th, 1974, who served in the United States Marine Corps as a private first class. Recorded on May 30th in Caledonia, Michigan. I'm Ember Bartnick, relative of Jason, and this interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. Alright, so what did your parents do during the time as an occupation?
When I was in the military?
Yeah, well, when you were going into training and stuff.
Well, my dad was a machine builder for steel case. My mom worked at various places. I think at the time she was working at a mattress company, I believe. Yep. So.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have one sister. Her name is Stacy.
And so is she older or younger?
Younger. Okay. By about a year and a half.
Did anyone else in the family serve?
Yes, my father served. He was in the military during the Vietnam War, where he served on a PT boat in the rivers in Vietnam.
A PT boat? Like, what's that?
It's basically a river patrol boat. So they would patrol up and down rivers. That was something that the military did during the Vietnam War.
Yeah, okay. So what did you do before enlisting?
Well, I went to high school. Basically, I think it was 2 days after I got out of high school, I went into training.
That was very quick.
Well, obviously it was all arranged before that. I mean, I think I signed up 6 months or so before I graduated, and then it was signed up so that basically as soon as I got out of high school, I went with a couple of my friends to join the military.
So why did you enlist?
Well, basically because of my friends. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I did plan on going to college, but I didn't know what for. I had two friends who were going into the United States Marine Corps, and essentially they talked me into going. So
that's why you chose the Marine Corps to join?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it was where my friends were. So yes.
Okay. So what was like the process into like being sent to training, and how did that go?
Being sent to training?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Obviously, I signed up months before we went. You had to undergo a background check. You had to go through some physical tests to make sure that you were fit. You had to make sure that you weren't a criminal. Make sure that you were mentally adequate, at least, to join the United States Marine Corps. And after they did those checks, basically, then that was pretty much it. Once they determined that you were not a criminal and that you were physically and mentally able to do it, then then you were generally accepted. That changes depending on the situation, the current situation in the country and the situation of the military. If they have lots and lots of people who are trying to get into the military, then the requirements get harder, and if they have nobody trying to get in, then obviously that changes so that just about anybody can get in,
Yeah. How did you feel when you were like signing up for them to join the military?
How did I feel? I don't know. Like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I wasn't all excited about it, but at the same time, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do, so I was willing to try it essentially and see how things went.
So once you get there, what kind of training did you undergo?
Basically you go through what's called Bootcamp. All the armed forces have Bootcamp. For the Air Force, it's 6 weeks long. For the Navy and the Army, it's 8 weeks long, and for the United States Marine Corps, it's a little more than 12 weeks. The training involves physical, mental, and disciplinary, basically. Obviously, physical are things like push-ups, pull-ups, running, um, long hikes, marches, um, digging pits, anything like that. Um, there was a lot of different things. Um, the disciplinary stuff is basically just making sure that you are able to obey orders and quickly, and the mental stuff is basically breaking you down and then trying to rebuild you back up into what they want you to be.
So what would that be exactly like?
Well, truthfully, in the United States Marine Corps, they're essentially training you to be simple soldiers, basically. At least through boot camp. What they want you to do is they want you to obey orders no matter what. Don't think. Do what you're told. In the various military services, they have basically, I don't know what you would call them. I forget, directives maybe, what you might call them. But basically, the first directive in most of them is troop safety. For the United States Marine Corps, that's not the case. Its mission accomplishment is the first goal, and troop safety comes second. So they want to make sure that no matter what, that you will obey the order. And so they basically try to break you down mentally. I was definitely not a fan of that. I didn't think it was a good thing, and I thought it changed people. It did change a lot of people through boot camp in ways that I would say is not the best. At least not the best for when they come back into society. I have no doubt that it works well for when people are in the United States Marine Corps. But I think once people get out, they have to learn to think for themselves and deal with people in a much different way.
So you didn't particularly like how you were treated by the people that were training you?
No, definitely not. But to be fair, we were warned. I mean, people, before we signed up, we were told we were going to be broken down physically and mentally. It wasn't that I thought that it was unfair. Well, of course, it's unfair because they treat you badly even when you do good things. But we were warned, and from what I understand, is the other military branches are not quite so severe on their people. But in the United States Marine Corps, it's they want you to be tough and they want you to follow orders directly, immediately, and that's their goal. And so if that means breaking you down and turning you into a order following, non-thinking person, then that's what they have to do.
Okay. Anything interesting that they made you go through for training in particular?
Oh geez, a lot of different things. Well, I guess the first thing that anybody who's in the military, I'm guessing, knows is what they call bending, and that is essentially extreme physical exercises that they make you do, basically if you do something wrong. So, for example, if you screw up, they will pull you aside and they'll bend you, which is you have to do what they tell you. So you push-ups. Okay, sit-ups now, jumping jacks, and so and then of course they yell at you saying you're going too slow and that kind of stuff, and so that was a part of it. But there's a lot of obviously rifle training. They definitely teach you how to clean and take care of a rifle. And to shoot it. I know we had a march 10 miles at one point. We had in a day, in 100-degree heat in California. You did rope climbing. You did water survival, including how to survive a burning oil spill in the water, which I failed. A lot of people failed that one, honestly. I wouldn't call it particularly a very fair test, as it was basically just judged by somebody sitting on the side. It was not objective, it was very subjective. And I'm an exceptional swimmer, so I thought that I was treated unfairly there. But the vast majority of people did not succeed at that part. There was a lot. I mean, lots of running. You ran everywhere pretty much, as at some point. I know there was more. I can't think. Drills. Basically teaching you how to march in tandem, march according to their orders, march in specific ways.
Okay. Did anything interesting happen between like the trainees that you can remember?
Specifically, I can tell you that when we got down there, you get to meet people, and they, you don't get a lot. I mean, you don't get a lot of time to talk to them because you don't have a lot of free time. But you get to know people, and people got along pretty good, I would say, for the first month. By the time the third month was over, there were fights. There would be fights in the barracks, things like that. Like I said, I think that the mental breaking down of people and building them back up to basically be, cocky monsters is basically what you're doing in a way. You want them to be completely confident in what they can do and have no hesitation in killing people. Probably not the best for making good, healthy people once their military service time is up. So I saw, we saw things. I saw people change, and that was unfortunate. I saw my friends change, actually. At least one of my friends, when we were down there, I would say he changed significantly from the time that we started to the time 3 months later when we left.
What kind of conditions were you in, like for the barracks? What you ate, stuff like that?
The barracks were basically one platoon in a barracks. So there were, I can't remember how many of us there were. Honestly, I don't know, 50-ish or so, all in one room. It's basically a long hall type room, double beds, bunk beds on each side. Each person had their own bed, had their one trunk that they had to put all their stuff in. Trunk was maybe, I don't want to say, 1.5 by 1.5 by 3 feet, and that's where you had to keep all your stuff. It was, as far as food, the food was adequate, I guess. It wasn't great, but when you went to mess, you always got. There was always food there. I would say there was a fairly good selection at all times, and you were always allowed to basically eat as much as you wanted. I mean, we had limited time, obviously, because we were in training. I think we got about 20 minutes to eat each meal, so you had to eat fast. But you could eat basically whatever you wanted, and as much as you wanted at that point. So.
Do you make any new friends when you went there?
None that lasted. I don't even think I made any. There were people that I got along with while I was there. But again, I went into the reserves, so other than the two people I went down with, there was nobody else that I knew. And once I got out, I never saw those other people again. So, yeah, that was the way that was.
What does it exactly mean to be in the reserves?
To be in the reserves are basically the military is separated into two sections. You've got your active duty and your reserves. Active duty military are your regular Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard people who are basically get up every day, go to work, as a member of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard. They are better trained, because that is what they're there for, that is what they do every day. In many cases, doing it more so than, an average worker out in the world doing a normal job. In some cases, if you're in combat and something like that, you're not necessarily going to be limited to a 40-hour work week or a 50-hour work week, or you might be getting up working 12 hours a day every day, Monday through Sunday. So that's the kind of stuff that the active duty person was. That's not what I was. I was in the reserves. The reserves are groups of people that are kept behind in their home states, in groups, and they fill in when the regular active duty groups are not enough. So if you have all of your active duty groups are out doing stuff, and you still need to fill in, you still need 50,000 troops or something, you have to get them from somewhere, you pull them from the reserves. If you've got people who have been in active duty, in combat duty for months on end, and you need to give them a break, but you have no one to replace them with, you pull from the reserves. Reserves usually need to be trained before they go, because they're not as well trained. So oftentimes reserves, before they actually go into the field as active duty, they will go off to training somewhere, and after that they'll go into the field as active duty people.
Yeah. So you're never called into for active duty or anything like that?
No. In the time that I was there, which was after the first Gulf War, there was I don't think there were ever any reserves called up during the time period that I was there.
You were in the reserves for 2 years, so what did that involve in general after your initial training was done?
So after initial training, what happens is you go in and then you have to go to your meetings basically once a month. You also go into usually during the summertime, you go for 2 weeks of training a year. You get paid for the time that you're there. So if you go on the weekends, you get paid for your weekends that you're there. You get paid for the 2 weeks that you're basically in your summer training, and that is essentially it. It is not sufficient training to be considered, I don't think, to be considered properly trained, which is why, and I think they know that, which is why usually before when they pull somebody up from the reserves to active duty, they put you through an entirely different training course before sending you out into the field.
Yeah. Do you have anyone to say to anyone interested in joining the military?
I would say that there is a place for some people in the military. Meaning, I think the military can be good for some people. I don't think that basic training in the Marines is good for most people. I don't think that training as an infantry person is good for most people. But I've certainly known people who, before joining the military, had no future prospects. But they went into the military to learn a certain job. For example, my nephew is currently in the military, in the reserves, and he went for HVAC training. Well, when you get out of the military, there are a lot of jobs in HVAC. That's heating and cooling. So, and he came from a family where that was poor, very poor. Government subsidized family. Who were basically, there was a good chance that he was going to do nothing with his life. And now, for him, at least I think that might have been a very good thing, because now he has a chance to actually have a really good job, potentially for the rest of his life, because he joined the military. So I think there are definitely cases where you can join the military for something and it can be beneficial. I think there are cases where you can join the military and it can change you for the worse. I really think that people who go in and are in infantry and end up in combat, most of them, I think that's bad for them in the long run. That's not to say that some people don't overcome all the issues and all the problems that occur because of that, and become better people because of it. But I think a lot of times it hurts, and it's shown in the number of post-traumatic stress disorder people that are currently, in the country. 50% of veterans, as I understand it, have applied for post-traumatic stress disorder, assistance. So I think there are definitely jobs and careers that you can go into that could definitely be beneficial, that the military could definitely be good for a person. And there's also the opposite.
Would you say it was beneficial to you in any way, or?
I would say that probably it was beneficial for me. Only because I was very shy before I went into the military. And I can definitely say that, but by the time you get out, you're usually not very shy. So for me, it definitely helped me with that particular facet of my personality. But I saw a lot of people turn into jerks too. So, but for me personally, I think it was beneficial. I like to think I didn't like to think I didn't come out a jerk.
Do you have anything to say for people that are like going into training, that are planning to go into training? Do you have any tips?
Well, if you're going into the Marine Corps, I would definitely say be prepared physically, which for some people is hard. For me, it wasn't that difficult. I was in good shape when I went in, but be prepared physically if you can. And go in with the understanding that they are going to try to mess with your mind, and don't let them.
Okay. Do you believe the United States military should be more or less involved within world affairs?
I think that the military should definitely stay involved in world affairs, but I think they need to be more involved in a different way. I think that we need to be less involved, or at least equally involved, with serving communities as we do with killing enemies. So if we go into Iraq, for example, and we're trying to kill off members of ISIS or whatever, then you also need an equal number of people who are there rebuilding the towns, helping these people recreate their lives, so that when the United States military goes somewhere, the world doesn't see the military as being just going there and destroying. They need to see America as somebody who is trying to make the world a better place. And I think that's what America should be doing with their military. So I think that being involved is important. I think we do need to do that, but I think we need to be less of a military machine and more of at least partially more of a social machine as well, to help the people that we're supposedly trying to help by destroying their enemies.
What do you think about like veterans policies and stuff?
I think that honestly, I think that veterans have excellent benefits. I think I know some people who take advantage of veterans medical benefits, for example, and while I understood it was difficult for them to get into it, once they did, they said that they're very happy with the service that they get. They feel like they're actually taken care of. The people that work with them care. So I think that veterans get excellent treatment once they get into the programs.
And how do you believe that people can become the best that they can be? We talk about this a lot in history class. And how do you believe that this can be achieved?
How do I think people can become the best that they can be? People can become the best that they can be by acting upon what they know to be right. and another person cannot tell you what you know to be right. That doesn't mean, of course, that you don't listen to other people. That's very important to listen to other people and listen to what their opinions are, so that you can listen to what they say based on their experiences to help you determine what you know to be right. But I think people who really do things that are absolutely, truly kind and helpful and beneficial to others, people who actually do that, those are the people who are the best that they can actually be.